From here on forward, Cardinals rookie cornerback Will Johnson has the nickname Vengeance, Johnny. Do you know why? Because he's putting the entire league on notice, and some of them passing on him twice for letting him slide to 47th overall.
Speaking of vengeance, are we about to take out our frustrations on ESPN's power rankings? Hey, ESPN, you shut your mouth when you're talking to me. PHNX Cardinals on a Football Monday starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe, leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. That's Bill Brack. He's in Studio K. We're back from what seems to be the quietest weekend of the NFL calendar year thus far. Damon, Dawg behind the mic. The boys are here today. It is Monday, May 5th. We are roughly, about 9 days away from the NFL schedule release. So it's very much the calm before the storms. Of course, rookie mini camps kicking off this week. My co-host is going to be in Tempe. How we living, Bo Brock?
We're living well, my man. It was, it was nice. It was a quiet weekend, as you said. Not a whole lot going on in the NFL streets. There was a couple little activity today. But for the most part, our beloved Redbirds, nada, except for one Will Johnson dropping his draft couple days vlog that hit his YouTube channel that, of course, we'll get into. What's going on to Venerable? How about Ollie? You got Alec, Jenga Man, Chef. What's going on? ZT Torres, Bonnie Brockable. How about these variations of names? Mike Meyer, Ozzy, Jules Felix, K2, Amadeus. What's going on? How we doing? Love to see everybody in here. Got a brand new diehard today as well. Was it Kyle? Did we say hello to Kyle out there? He tweeted us. Got an immediate follow from the Beat account, and also a fun hello from your two gracious hosts over here.
We also had Toby on Twitter, ZT, Toby Z315 on Twitter, saying happy to finally join the community. And saying that being a diehard was overdue. And then he proceeded to list all of his favorite things about this podcast, including something we don't talk about very much, and that's Mochagate. We don't talk about Mochagate here, ZT. How dare you?
I don't know if we can't just sweep something as big as Mochagate just under the rug. I think that would be...
I think it was like forgotten until ZT brought it up, and now I feel like it's back, and I hate it.
This is a show that prides itself on integrity, and I'm so glad that ZT was out there and he's saying, you know what, this is important that we don't misremember this. We don't forget it because history has a pattern of repeating itself unless we learn from our mistakes, Damon Dawg.
I just, I get reminded of a time when maybe for 1 second I did not hold the line. And I came on this podcast, this fine program, and I brought an apology that I wrote out for the people.
Yeah.
And I said, I was wrong for wanting the defensive player of the year in 2024 and 4 first-round picks for the number 4 pick. That was a bad take by me.
It was.
And Johnny, we just expect much of the same from you instead of the arguments that we get, for defending Mochagate.
Now, history has been unkind to your memory, Damon Dawg, as you've kind of dressed up the package even more so to make it look more in your favor. Like, who wouldn't take that deal? It did include the 2024 Defensive Player of the Year and I think 2 first-round picks. But
Cardinal fans,
I think we're going to add a first round every time he tells the story going forward.
I love this comment. Mochagate is the kind burner foam for PHNX. That's great. Patrick Surtain and 3 firsts. Not good enough for Marv. Draft season was a hell of a drug last year. It was a hell of a drug, but we loved it.
Let's notes real quick for those who have no clue what's going on as far as Mocha Gate. It was when we took an oath and we gave up some things that we love, and so that the Arizona Cardinals, once free agency opened, they signed a big name. We gave up for about 30 days.
It was about
some of the things that we are daily staples. Like I gave up caffeine, and Johnny was supposed to give up sweet treats.
I did.
But he didn't understand that a mocha actually, the ingredient, one of the main ingredients, like actually what makes a mocha is chocolate syrup.
It was, listen, that Starbucks has become infamous in a lot of ways. The Starbucks in Indianapolis, where Jordan Schultz confronted Ian Rappaport.
Yeah.
There was no assault done, and then we were there the next day, and then things. I wasn't in my proper headspace. I think I asked for maybe a different drink entirely, and then got that drink by mistake. So there were a lot of.
Actually, it's worse than that. You had to order it twice. You ordered it twice, and then I think it finally resonated between me and Shane Deef that what was going on right in front of our very eyes. Two people that trusted you, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that one of the ingredients.
Threw it away. Listen, it was what we like to call technicality, a clerical error, and we shall never speak of it again. Here's what I do want to talk about, though. How about this from our guy Ozzy? 40K here, PHNX Sports on YouTube. The road for 100K starts now. Absolutely, we crossed 40K over the weekend. We appreciate all of you. No, I did not make Bo go live over the weekend with his family when they were Find Podcast hit 40K. So we appreciate everybody who's subscribed because, hey, if you're new, you're welcome. This is your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast, and we think it's going to be a pretty special season, and we're going to cover it every which way, including today. Walter Nolan was the first pick of the Cardinals. Walter Nolan has a chance to make a huge impact this year. Walter Nolan, I feel like, is talked about less up until this point compared to who the Cardinals got at pick 47, and that's All-American corner Will Johnson, who, if you can remember, several weeks ago, fell in the NFL draft because of an apparent knee concern. Not a knee injury, mind you. He's not rehabbing. This isn't Jahad Campbell or Josh Simmons. He is healthy and presumably will be on the field this week during rookie minicamp. He fell because there is concern with other teams, not the Cardinals, that his knee won't hold up long-term. Bo, to which he has responded in the form of a vlog video that chronicled on his YouTube page his draft weekend. And needless to say, it's a rather large chip on the former Wolverine shoulder.
Yeah, you've got kind of an excruciating 7 minutes of a 9-minute video that he posted up on his own channel. If you're a Cardinals fan, like you subscribing to PHNX Sports, go support your boy Will Johnson over there on the YouTube streets. I'm sure he would appreciate it.
Yeah.
But, it shows him from getting ready to the draft to hanging out with Tedero McMillan. Of course, looks like he's buddies with the Arizona wide receiver, now Carolina Panther wide receiver, and then having to wait it out in the green room.
Same.
Damon also tight with T-Mac. Waiting it out in the green room for the entirety of the first round there in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then making his way, relatively short flight from Green Bay, Wisconsin to Ann Arbor, where he watched the second round of the draft, and then still had to endure about 13 picks before old Monty Awesamefort and Jonathan Gannon gave him a ring ding and said, hey, how about you put on the red and white in favor for your blue and gold there at Michigan. And he said some really, cool things that will get your juices going as a Cardinals fan, as somebody who feel like they were scorned by 31 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, here it is. Finnick. Okay, hang on.
Oh, I love that you're going to read this.
Nope. Finna go kill, bruh. They're going to have to pay for this. You know what? I promise you, Arizona finna get a dog. All right, now, Bo, read that. You try now. And then the viewers are going to tell us who reads it better.
All right. If we could put it back up on the screen, if you would. Finna go kill, bruh. They're going to have to pay for this, I promise you. Arizona finna going to get dog. Then it gets you like where you're just putting words together.
Bo, I'll be honest. I was about ready to give you that crown until you stumbled on the end there.
I did.
I won.
Look at how
won.
red Johnny is.
I'm finna win this. I won it. Do you think Will Johnson would think you and I are like cool guys?
No.
Hey, we have a podcast. We're in our mid to late 30s.
We're basically right now in the same corner as the 31 teams that passed him up in the draft. Like we're basically he doesn't even want to have anything to do with it.
Could we not? I saw like earlier we had cut the video. I'm guessing we can't use it for copyright, Damon.
There's some music, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, now this could be way worse. I don't know. The copyright might have been worth it over Bo and I having to read that. It might have been worth it.
I mean, it couldn't have been worse read script.
Esther was like, "Did you guys get a copyright strike?" Yeah, but good thing though, because Bo and I were about to read what Will actually said, and we couldn't have sounded more old and pathetic.
What was the movie The Room? That's always it's like infamously panned for how horrible the acting it like that. Yeah. It wasn't worse than that. That
Damon,
was the worst.
All right, Damon, you read it.
Yeah, if you would.
Damon, you're in your early 20s. Let's see it.
Yeah, this is a lot of pressure. I feel like finna go kill, bruh. They're gonna have to pay for this S. I promise you, Arizona finna get a dog.
That's the best.
That was by far
stuck the landing.
Johnny and I.
All right, so we know any future Will Johnson quotes that we cannot put on the show and have to have in text form, Damon will be reading moving forward. Is everybody comfortable with that?
I knew Damon was a shoo-in. Like when he caught back up with high school friend Bijan Robinson, he dropped the phrase "on God." I'm like, oh, Finn is a walk in the park for a guy like Damon.
Damon's close with T-Mac, Bijan. Who are you and I friends with?
Wayne Jackson.
You're buddies with Gardeck and Tip Ryman.
First off,
and Billy Price.
My association with you actually disqualifies me being within 10 feet of Dennis Gardeck.
Sorry. Man, we're just some cool guys. All right, back on task here. Will Johnson, go seek out the video. It's on Bo's Twitter. Very, very uncomfortable young man to have to watch him fall like that. It has to be, I can't imagine. Like, it's one thing if you're Mike Green and you've had 2 off the field infractions and you fall to the second round. It's like, hey man, what did you think was going to happen? Hopefully his agent prepared him for that. Then there's Will Johnson, who, he was a little banged up this year, but that Ohio State team wasn't competing for anything. And they're like, okay, I'm just going to get ready for the draft, right? And you're healthy and you do everything and you say all the right things and people are openly mocking you top 12. So much so that we felt like it was a liability, basically a mandate that the Cardinals had to take him at 16 in the PFF simulator when he would fall. Right. Yeah. Well, it's not their biggest need, but they just have to take him. And then he inexplicably falls to 47 because his knee got flagged by teams. And you're like, my knee feels fine. I feel great. What that has to be, you talk about something like out of your control. You're not physically hurt now. Yeah. You're ready to take on the NFL right now today. But because teams are like, yeah, this might not work out long term, we're going to push you to the second. Like, put aside for a second, like he fell and lost himself millions of dollars. I'm sure he is. I'm sure that kid out of Kentucky, Maxwell, whatever, is going to be a nice NFL player for Sean McDermott. That kid is not in the same league. Jahdae Barron is not in the same league as this kid. Go look at Jahdae Barron's tape from 2 years ago and look at Will Johnson's tape the year they won the national championship. I'm sure he's sick to his stomach watching that.
And it's a type of moves that are franchise altering for the better for Arizona Cardinals for a prospect of that caliber to slide. And you said it multiple times, inexplicable. It really is. And when you watch the video and you notice that they're picking up like the Schefter report that came out like 36 hours before the draft. We were telling you this via Albert Breer a lot earlier than that. But this was something that was late in the draft process. So this was not something like, Will Johnson has been dealing with this after kind of being banged up or nicked up, as Jonathan Gannon calls it, throughout his final year in Michigan. Then he gets into the draft process and he's navigating it. And, you know, everybody's saying top 20 pick, top 15 pick. That's what you're going to be. Like, you're not going to make it any further than this. And then the entire league, outside of the Rams, who traded out of it because it was going to be the draft where every team had a first round pick, passed on him. And then some teams passed on him twice. He falls into the lap of the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, it's got to be, especially when you feel like my knee's been healthy for 2 years. And you've got this medical flag that comes up during this entire process. And somebody's saying, well, we've got our concerns, but you're sitting there and you're feeling 100%. You're probably feeling the best you felt since, you know, your awesome season with Michigan that led them to a national title. It really is kind of just one of those strange little side roads that the NFL draft creates throughout this process. Like, you know, you got your character concerns, you've got your medical concerns, you've got your production concerns. And it just somehow was an overbearing weight that just crushed him down the draft board all the way to the midway through the second round. And the Cardinals are right there just with open arms. As Jonathan Gannon said on Shine on Sports last year, they don't have any medical concerns about him. They don't have any. Now, no. I mean, that will prove to be, you know, we'll see how he does. As Fran Duffy pointed out, he's missed some time throughout, you know, his couple of years at Michigan. But, I mean, if he comes in, I'm with you, man. As you've been saying pretty consistently, this guy's going to be a big-time player for the Cardinals.
Right away. There's going to be a learning curve, but I mean, he's going to come into camp with an opportunity to play outside with Max Melton immediately. I don't expect Sean Murphy-Bunting to be around long-term. I think it's funny. We bring up like degenerative was never a word that was said by the Cardinals, his camp, right? Like, but there was speculatory, like, will his knee hold up over time? So people associated, like, I brought it up to Garofolo a couple weeks ago, and he was like, nobody's using that term yet. Well, I remember a case, some of you might not remember this. There was a player that played for UCLA named Miles Jack in 2016. Mm-hmm. It was one of the best college players, you know, that we had seen at off-ball linebacker, back when you could take off-ball linebackers high.
And running back. Guy was unbelievable.
He was like when the Pac-12 was humming in the mid-2020s or mid-2010s, he was a star. Yeah. And he was this is probably a worse situation because he was largely thought of as like top 5, top 10 pick. Right. Where did Miles Jack fall to? Fell to the second round, pick 36 to Jacksonville. Because it came out like, no, his knee is degenerative. He's going to need microfracture surgery. That's what teams told him, right? Nobody's saying that about Will Johnson. Right. Miles Jack played in the NFL for 8 seasons. I mean, he had a nice career. And you know, I think signed a second contract with Jacksonville, like got his money and, you know, played a much more physically demanding position at the time, but he fell to the second round. That's the only thing that I can think of that's comparable. But everything that, like, Miles Jack, like, even came out and said pre-draft, I looked it up before the show, like, yeah, there's some degenerative qualities with my knee where people think I need microfracture surgery. And so and I don't think it ever really hampered his play up until his last year with Pittsburgh, just 2023. He played like an average like 15 games a season. So no one knows. This is a complete risk. But guess what else nobody knows? B.J. Ojulari was drafted with no injury risk 2 years ago. He has not been healthy with the Arizona Cardinals, right? Jonathan Cooper never had an injury. Knee issue, ACL, never the same player. Right. Guys get hurt. The Cardinal fans know this better than anybody. Guys get hurt all the time that have never been hurt. They come to the league. They can't hold up physically. Like, are we going to sit here and say like, oh yeah, Will Johnson, because some people have flagged his knee, like it's just a foregone conclusion he can't play? The NFL is not a perfect science. It doesn't work like that.
No, it's not. Look, who's saying that? Ozzy's saying Miles Jack was a good player. He was. I don't think he was, you know, when we saw him play at UCLA and the things he was doing on both sides of the ball, and you saw the athleticism, but he's off-ball linebacker, wasn't he? I mean, he was a guy that went and played middle linebacker for the Jags. So it wasn't somebody that you're going to see rack up a bunch of sacks, but still played his way into. I'm looking at it right now, Johnny, after his initial rookie contract, he signed a 4-year, $57 million deal.
Got his money.
At Jacksonville. And then, as you mentioned, he signed a 2-year, $60 million deal with Pittsburgh, and then ended up, you know, just kind of puttering out a little bit. But Yeah, it is one of those things where it is pretty crazy to watch a prospect, the level of Will Johnson, and teams get so scared off, especially when you take into consideration like the other red flags around some prospects out there, and they're willing to overlook it or taking much lesser prospects with projectables than a guy like Will Johnson. It really was kind of strange how teams just kind of stayed away. They just stayed away, and you really never thought there was a true threat for him to go. And you were curious when the slide was, and there was Monty Ossenfort was like, well, medical's clear for us. What are we doing? Gannon's talking about how there's their analytics teams crunching the numbers going into day 2 of the draft. They're telling them, yeah, don't even think about it. It's 0.002%. Like, don't get your hopes up. And 13 picks later, there's Ossenfort submitting the ticket and giving Will Johnson a call.
He is going to be a talking point for this fan base because I think he's entering a position group that is up for grabs at outside corner. And he has his physical gifts are elite, but he's also one of the most polished cornerbacks entering that room, where he is capable of doing things, frankly, that some of their other players cannot do. I can't wait to see how he sizes up against somebody like Max Melton, who's had a year of NFL football under his belt, but he was playing a different caliber of football at Rutgers when Will Johnson was winning a national championship. And Will Johnson was by and large, the best corner in college football. Like, it's great because all these guys know each other, from Paris to Marv to Max Melton to Tip Ryan, Isaiah Adams. Like, the Cardinals have a Big Ten pipeline. And guess what? Big Ten right now quickly becoming the dominant program, the dominant conference in college football. Thankfully, the Cardinals and Monty Ossenfort are leaning into that. Yeah. Anything else on our guy, Will Johnson?
The guy had 3 pick sixes in his Michigan career. He gave up 2 touchdowns.
Pretty good.
He was +1 in the touchdown department. He played defense. That's one of those. That's like a Larry Fitzgerald had more career tackles than drops kind of stat. Like to go through your collegiate career and you gave up, 2 touchdowns in your freshman season, 1 in your first game, and then 1 in a track meet of a Fiesta Bowl, where apparently Michigan was tipping plays.
Yeah.
It's to get a player of his caliber, and also now his motivation, and then couple him with the coaching staff and the scheme fit.
It's all
with
there.
With the Cardinals defensive secondary. It's just the Cardinals are just turning this into a factory, and it seems like a simple formula, but you look at it, it's like Walter Nolan's coming from the second best defense in the country last year. Then you've got 2 players from the top defense in the country last year at Ohio State, and Cody Simon and Denzel Burke. And then, there's Will Johnson, who was one of the best players on the #1 defense, a historically good defense, the previous season before being banged up. And of course, having kind of a down year, transition year in Ann Arbor. It really is just like you go and you find highly productive players at really, successful universities.
Novel approach. Let's draft guys I've never seen play that their games are not broadcast on major college football networks. That's the ticket. That was the strategy for a long time. Thankfully, no longer. What's the strategy heading into this fall? The Cardinals, how does their strength of schedule ahead of the schedule release stack up against not only the NFC, but the NFC West? We'll tell you. That's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. We got some major publications not betting on the Cardinals, but you can cast that aside and use it to your benefit here with some plus money with our friends at Bet365. Of course, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer now with the app that has over 90 million users worldwide. 90 million. NBA playoffs in full effect. NHL playoffs in full effect. Major League Baseball right now. They have pioneered live in-game betting. And of course, you can get those NFL preseason bets, those wages that, again, only available with our friends at Bet365 with the 100% parlay boost. Double your winnings with Bet365, 100% parlay boost by downloading the app today. Again, you deposit just a mere $10, bet a $5 spot on anything. First time, $150 in bonus bets. You can use them on anything. Spreads, totals, player props, futures. I am very quick to spend So it's like, if I'm going to do a future bet, I want to do bonus bets. I want to play with house money, do it with our friends at Bet365. Bonus bets, again, can never expire when you use them on spreads, totals, props, and futures if you use them right away. So if you place the bet and it goes through all next season, you're good to go. Get that cash out in January. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary with Bet365. Got to be 21 years and older, physically located in Arizona. If you were someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
I'm betting the Diamondbacks every time they wear those City Connect jerseys.
How about it?
You know, Snakes are going to get hot wearing those purple and teal. Speaking of getting hot, weather, it's going to heat up after a little bit of a reprieve yesterday. Wind was blowing and keeping it cool. I think the days are done, and you're going to want to find some cool shade with our friends over at All Pro Shade Concepts. Check them out right now, 623-204-1476 or allproshadeconcepts.com. Extend your outdoor living space with a custom fit awning. It's unbelievable. Our GM Espo got them done. I know our guy Saul is also checking them out. Hundreds of designs, colors to choose from, match any home. You can work with your HOA for approvals. They're always pesky, but you know, All Pro Shade Concepts, they've been around the block several times. They know what to do to get the right kind of open door there with the HOA. LED lighting to light up your patios under the awnings. Check them out. Most trusted local shade company, voted #1 by Ranking Arizona for patio shades in 2024. BBB A+ rated and over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google. Check them out. Licensed, bonded, and listed. Call them 623-204-1476. Visit allproshadeconcepts.com to now schedule your free estimate.
Love our friends at All Pro Shades. Love everybody in the chat. Love our newest friends right now. If you guys didn't know, we're teaming up with Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America for an exciting 3-year partnership. It's spanning across ALLCITY. We announced it the weekend of the draft. Again, if you're interested, we've got information right now. bbbs.org/ALLCITY right now. They've got youth membership, mentorship programs that can make the difference for somebody that you know or you don't know, a loved one in your life. Again, we're going to be working year-round to support Big Brother, Big Sisters through fundraising, content, events, and even opportunities for our team, and hopefully some less fortunate little brothers for the bigs out there. So if you want to get directly involved, again, bbbs.org/ALLCITY. We're so fired up with the partnership. Big Brothers, Big Sisters of America. It's a 3-year deal with ALLCITY. We take that very seriously, and hopefully let us know if you guys are interested. We know how to point you in the right direction with the right people, Bo.
Like Colt McCoy in training camp, pointing you in the right direction, pointing to the right receivers. It's your friends over at PHNX, Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Central Arizona. Whether you want to be a big or if you want to donate, we're going to help you out. Can't wait.
I can't wait for the season to start. So we're entering ranking season. So we should have a disclaimer on this show as we talk about rankings. And normally when we talk about them, it's out of frustration because of how poorly they are deciphered. We're going to get to the egregious power rankings that came out on ESPN, where the Cardinals legitimately finished the year 8-9, only added pieces, only have a better schedule, and yet are completely disrespected. But we're going to holster that for a second. But I do want to talk about the schedule that's coming out next week. We've got our schedule release show. We try to break some of the games before they come out. We've had the schedule right 2 years in a row before the show is kicked off. But before we do that, we know the opponents, right? So I think it's good to kind of contextualize the schedule ranking as it is seen on the Twitter street. So let's take a look. Let's look at the strength of schedule ranking. This is from Warren Sharp on Twitter. The Cardinals have,
friend, Johnny.
Yeah, he's cranking out the content I'm jonesing for this offseason. As you can see there, the Cardinals have the 11th easiest schedule in the NFL. Far cry. They were in the bottom third last year. It was murderer's row. San Francisco frauding it up with the easiest schedule in the league. That's everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid, whatever. They're big time losers. But the Cardinals have, according to this, the second easiest schedule in the NFC West, which is, I think, really great to see. They're only behind in terms of the NFC, San Fran, a couple teams from the South, in New Orleans, Atlanta, and Tampa, the entire South with Carolina. And that's it. So
Yeah.
again, it's like
And they face each other. That helps.
Yeah, absolutely. And you play those teams, so you can impact that. So anybody who's like, how is this squad going to do this year based on the schedule? I mean, it's breaking for them to be able to make the playoffs, win double-digit games, partially because they play the AFC and NFC South bowl.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It seems to be just kind of the magic elixir for getting right. You saw, a lot of people giving so much praise to the NFC North last season. Well, who'd they beat up on? Even the Bears had an easy time going across the pond and smacking down the Jacksonville Jaguars. Everybody thought that Caleb Williams had arrived and everything was going to be okie dokie going forward. And then, no, not so much. And then they went on a 10-game losing skid pretty soon after that. But a lot of people get lost in the Cardinals improved, but so did a lot of the league, or they view their rosters have been upgraded. But the NFC South had such a far way to go. Mm-hmm. Like, you're still not going to convince me beyond the Bucks, who's been the playoff team the last 2 seasons out of that division, that the Saints did what's necessary to really strike fear in the Cardinals in their fan base's heart. Like in like Jacksonville and the AFC South and the rest of that division, I don't think that there was anything that should give main cause of concern to Cardinals, that if they just take care of business against those teams, they're going to be in a really good spot. But really what this has shown is what we've been telling you about, is San Francisco and then Seattle is just not too far away from the Arizona Cardinals as far as the strength of schedule goes. They're going to benefit from it. The only team that's going to have a tough time stacking wins consistently throughout their 2025 slate should be the Los Angeles Rams, who have to play, of course, the burden of a first-place schedule for winning the division last year. So, and you love to see it. I want to point and laugh at them because they deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve the toughest road there. But like Seattle and San Francisco, they could go way of the Denver Broncos, where people are just guzzling the Kool-Aid and saying, is this a good team? This is a good team. I want to say it's a good team because they're beating their opponent, but you look at their strength of schedule, it's going to be pretty far down there.
Yeah. Let's take a look. This is the second half of this is the season win totals. So it's going to show you the top 20 schedules based on season win totals. Let's take a look at this, Damon. You've got San Francisco favored to win the NFC West at 10.5. I would imagine that's playing a part as the easiest strength of schedule in the league. The Cardinals are at 10th right now, or 11th. As we just mentioned, their over-under right now via Vegas is 8.5. That has moved up. I believe it was 7.5 at the time of the offseason came around. And again, we're going to complain about ESPN here in a little bit. I think 8.5 is pretty on par, because you're basically saying, are the Cardinals going to win 9-10 games and make the playoffs, or are they going to fall apart again in the stretch? They won 8 games last year. They could have easily won 10, 11, 12 games, or they could have lost the game in Miami and lost the game against the Chargers and won 6 games. So I don't have a problem with this. This doesn't bother me. If I'm a Seahawk fan, that probably pisses me off a little bit. You won 10 games last year and you're over under 7.5. Rams is just a game above you. The San Francisco, I'm convinced, is entirely fueled by their schedule. But then you look at some of the trash in the NFC South. The Saints are a terrible team. I would hammer that under at 6.5 all day, every day. I don't think Jacksonville's any good. I think they'll go under 7.5. I mean, there are teams on here that feel very, very I think Denver is going to regress. 9.5 for them after you mentioned it. Their schedule last year where they played backups upon backups. It
was cupcake mode.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this is very appropriate. I can't say Bo and I before the draft felt like this was a 10-win team, and the draft was fantastic, but I haven't watched these guys play. I'm probably pretty consistent with my take that it's a 10-win team. 10 wins should get you into the playoffs, minus what happened in Seattle last year. But you would hope, right, with 7 teams making the playoffs. I think 10 wins should secure you a playoff spot. And if they went under 8.5, it'd be really disappointing. I mean, I think everybody, Gannon and Austin Ford, would survive, but I think this is a firm, you hit the over at 8.5 and you feel really good about, your chances to get to where you want to be in January.
I would almost, the Niners there, 10.5. Like they could go 0-6 in the division and still win 10, 11 games.
They might.
Listen to these are their opponents because of their fourth place schedule. Browns, Texans, who I think they're probably evenly matched with.
I think Texans will beat them.
Yeah. Well, you better hope for it, right? Colts, Rams, Saints, Giants, Cards, Falcons, Panthers, Jags, Titans, Bears. I already got the Seahawks in there and the Bucks. Like the Bucks probably right there with the Texans. That might be one of the easiest schedules just at this point in the offseason that I've seen in a maybe in my life.
You got to hope that there's some jumps taken, not like to contender status, but like, hey, can the Titans be respectable, a feisty team? Can the Falcons be a feisty team? And here's what I will say. We're going to do the breakdown next week, and we're teasing it right now.
Yeah.
The Cardinals were 6-4 entering what should have been the easy part of their schedule that you and I mocked for months on end that they should be able to clean up in the second half. The Cardinals fell apart in the second half, and it ruined their season. They went 2-5 down the stretch.
Yeah.
Unacceptable. So again, but you can typically pencil in when you're playing the two South divisions that it's a walk in the park.
Yeah.
And I would give them the coaching advantage with Shanahan, but it's not always, as easy as it seems.
If they're gonna face and stare down another season where inconsistently they get Christian McCaffrey, which there's no signs telling me that it's not going to be another inconsistent availability for Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams, who's 37 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at a team that's going to have to be a defensive team that the offense has to be led by Brock Purdy and his receiver, like Brandon Ayuk's coming off a torn ACL, and a receiving core that like Ricky Pearsall is going to have to step up. Like George Kittle is going to have to stay healthy, throughout the season. A lot of things have to go right for the Niners to have success in 2025. But one thing that is in place is the schedule. It gives them the ability, if they catch fire, to stack wins.
Just got to hope that the roster deterioration that has happened with them allows teams without plus quarterbacks to come away with a couple victories that you wouldn't assume, like Cleveland or the Giants or something like that. The differentiator where Purdy could have subpar games and they could still clean up and have a plus point differential in the double digits was because you had the most loaded team, I think, in the last 10 years in the NFC of that Niners Super Bowl team 2 years ago. That's gone now. That's dead and buried. There's no Greenlaw. There's no Ufunga. There's no Kinlaw.
Right.
I mean, the defensive line is a joke outside of Nick Bosa. I don't like Mykal Williams is a rookie. Same reason I'm not projecting Walter Nolan to come in and be a world beater. We don't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cornerback group is below average. And you mentioned that, like, they're going to have Brock Purdy, like, be one of the best players on their team to get where they want to be. I think we can all bet on that being a losing proposition. This is a loser mentality.
Well, especially just a matchup. Like Brock Purdy is not matched up well against the Cardinals outside of when they just had one of the worst rosters in the league in 2020.
Cardinals match up very favorably with San Francisco now. Yeah. Like you would take that 10 times. Who hurt the Cardinals last year? What kind of quarterbacks? Big guys that could move. Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels ate the Cardinals alive, right? Josh Allen, like the Cardinals, because they didn't have the athletes to deal with it. And then they would play the Purdys of the world and smack them around. Even Staff, man, the Cardinals played Matthew Stafford tough. You just you got to really feel good about it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Cardinals and a lot of the quarterbacks they're playing this year fit that mold. So I thought it was interesting to take a look at that ahead of next week. Cardinals, again, we're optimistic and we're hopeful, especially if they get some primetime games. But I'm going to tell you right now, based on ESPN's most recent power rankings, should we caution our expectation for nationally televised games? That's coming up. It's PHNX.
Yikes.
You shouldn't caution your optimism and your excitement for our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. I told the story last week and I was shamed for it, but I'm going to tell it again for those of you who missed it. I have Desert Financial Credit Union. They are wonderful. Separately, I was involved in a phishing scam for your boy where my debit card information was subsequently taken. I immediately contacted Desert Financial Credit Union. Okay, may or may not have gotten one of those polls text messages. Listen, this is a safe space. This is a trust tree here.
Johnny vulnerable.
Yep. And Desert Financial is like, we got you, Johnny.
Johnny Gold. Sorry.
Okay. New card in the mail. Canceled immediately. We're putting a stop on any transactions. Nothing. It was like a brick wall. Nothing came through because Desert Financial's got my back.
There's Johnson Jr. right there.
That's right. Desert Financial. They've got a team of financial experts. By the way, I got through in 30 seconds like that. When it's time sensitive like that, and you got to be quick on your feet. Desert Financial is not like, hey, wait an hour while somebody's racking up charges, right? While you're getting Ponzi schemed out here. No. They took care of your boy and rep the Red Sea right now. By the way, my new debit card came in the mail. I had to retire my Redbird because of the scheme. I went with the Player. It's choice. It's phenomenal. I cannot wait to not show all of you because you'll steal my information just like those people did. But privately, I will show Damon and Bo. Rep the Red Sea right now with the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Show your team spirit online. Open up a free checking account. Get an Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card. Head to desertfinancial.com/Cardinals to get started.
Looking to upgrade your flooring? Look no further than our friends over at Empire Today and start your new flooring journey with $350 off just by being a listener or viewer of this podcast. Go to empiretoday.com/PHNX. Use the code PHNX and you'll get $350 off immediately. Check them out right now because if you're looking for carpeting, hardwood, laminate, tile, Empire Today has something for your dwelling that's in desperate need of it. If you're just looking for an upgrade, go to Empire Today. They are flush with experts that know flooring backwards and forwards. They're not just somebody that was there working at the Jack in the Box down the street and just needed it big. No, it's somebody. It's flooring professionals. Also, what's going to make it quick and easy and convenient is you can just use your smartphone, log on to empiretoday.com/PHNX, and you can utilize their virtual floor designer. You take a picture of your dwelling, and then you can look at it, what it's going to look like with the tile, with the laminate, with the carpeting, with those beautiful hardwood that Empire Today has. Check them out right now and schedule a free in-home estimate because things are so much easier and better from the comfort of your own home. Use that code PHNX and get that $350 off with the code PHNX. Restrictions apply. Visit empiretoday.com/PHNX for full details.
Smash that like button. Big thanks to everybody who helped make April the biggest month in the history of this little fanboy podcast and PHNX Sports. This podcast, I'll just throw this number out there, almost hit 2 million in April because of all of you. And we appreciate that. And we will do our best to continue to hopefully make it worth your while as we chug along here this summer and this fall. And then we always like to do this, like, as we kind of assess and get ready for the season and build up, right? Who do you want to see on this show, right? What personalities, what players, what guest spots? Because it's going to be up for grabs here. And we're going to get locked in, become August and September. And so, I always just like to open it up. Like, who do people want to see on PHNX Cardinals?
Yeah, I'd love to hear that. Somebody, Ryan H saying somebody stole Johnny's card and bought a mocha at Starbucks. We finally got that. Right. We cracked the case.
You know what? That tracks. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Leave it in the comments though. So it's there forever here on this page. Leave it in the comments so we can see who you want to hear and see join Johnny, myself, and Damon on PHNX Cardinals during the quiet season. Even though it's not going to be so quiet, we're going to talk to Will Johnson on Thursday. Talk to some Keaton Crawford, I believe, as well, part of that rookie class. And one more is going to make the group. Oh, Cody Simon, potential starting Mike linebacker, green dot wearer. Cody Simon potentially. We'll see.
Chase saying Calais Campbell. How about that? I mean, I think there's been some talk. We had Michael Wilson on during the season. I think we're hopeful that we can continue to have a player presence from the Cardinals during the season. We had Dortch the year before. Bowen and Dortch hosted the Greg Dortch podcast. So I think we can plug this to some degree. A week from Saturday, we're going to be out at Salt River Fields hanging out with Kyler Murray and everybody at Kyler Murray's celebrity softball game.
That's right. We're going to be hanging out there, kind of doing a little bit of a play-by-play.
Whatever they let us do, we're going to be doing it.
Just come out and hang. If at the very least you hang out with the PHNX Cardinals crew, No, tickets are still available for at the Kyler Murray Foundation. We're making an announcement on their behalf again tonight about at 6. Damon Dawg's going to be pumped about it. Former U of A star is going to be announced joining the crew out there. So look for that at 6, and then of course follow the link to get your tickets. And it is a cheap Saturday night.
$25 for a ticket.
Yeah, and they have VIP experiences as well, so you can look into that.
So here I'm going to hit you with a couple of these names that are coming. So obviously K1, Larry Fitzgerald will be in attendance as a coach. George Pickens, James Conner, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Wilson, Terrell Owens, Calais Campbell. And then it was announced over the weekend, musician and entertainer Ruby Rose will be in attendance. Full transparency, I didn't know who that was, but everybody was quick to tell me that I needed to study up on Ruby Rose. So
yeah,
if you want to see Ruby, she's going to be out there for the
cautious looking up.
Be careful. Maybe have your parental controls on for that bad boy. I saw a lot. That was probably one of our most engaged with tweets. A lot of quote tweets on that saying, "Hey, I might have to come out now." Respect. You guys do you. Ruby Rose, what do you think? She may lean off shortstop? What do you think?
That's a good question. When we talked to Kyler, he said he might want to jump back into the infield, relive those days, but knows there's some heavy hitters in there with Trey McBride swinging a big stick. Like maybe he might want to just retreat to the outfield and make sure he's nice and healthy for the 2025 season. But yeah, maybe Ruby Rose can be over there and pick it. Maybe be like a all glove middle infielder.
She's a baddie that can get it. How about that? Okay. Interesting. That's my second favorite comment from the show. Earlier when Damon, I couldn't keep it together. When Damon did that reading, there were people saying light skinned Damon earlier in segment 1. And I couldn't keep it together. Light skinned Damon reading the Will Johnson quote was one of my favorites.
So it's gonna be a fun time. It's a great group of Hall of Famers, you got influencers, you got musicians, and then you got just some of your favorite Cardinals out there. James Conner, by the way, turned 30 years old today.
Oh man. Where do you rank him on the hierarchy of Cardinal running backs that you've watched in your lifetime?
Man.
Impromptu.
That's a great question.
I mean,
when you look at what he's done,
Yeah, the longevity has to play a part in it.
Yeah, I mean, he's now been here for 4 seasons, and he's just under 5K scrimmage yards from scrimmage, 5K, and 44 total touchdowns. I think his trips to the end zone really put him into a category that we haven't seen very often. But as far as greats, I mean, there's kind of one hit wonder David Johnson. I mean, we haven't ever seen that.
That's the number one. He's number one in terms of like for a single season. That's as good as it gets for a Cardinal running back. I think I didn't watch Otis Anderson growing up. He was before my time. So I'm putting Otis Anderson off to the side. If we're sticking with Arizona Cardinal running backs, I think it's David Johnson. I think it's James Conner. And then like who's after that? I mean, if we're grading kind of on a curve here, like they've had great receivers, they've had great corners, they have not had great running backs like that consistently put up big numbers. So I would say James is right there with David Johnson.
Yeah. Was it Nate saying Larry Centers is great? Larry Centers playing that fullback spot, right? But he was beloved, and that's a great call. Like you had a random 1,000-yard season from Chris Beanie Wells at one point.
Still holds the single game rushing record.
Yeah.
He played like the Rams practice
Michael
squad.
Pittman had a little bit of a run there. But man, there was I know people are going to say jokingly, Emmitt Smith. Andre Ellington at one point was going to be the vocal point of this offense.
He was electric.
After him being a 6th-round pick, and BA just leaned on him at the end of that 2013 season, and then they were going into the 2014 season, and like Carson Palmer was coming off 20 picks. People didn't have high, expectations for this team. And Andre Ellington, he suffered an injury before the start of the season. People were freaking out, like, what are we going to do with Andre Ellington? And he ended up playing, but then Carson Palmer started to figure out, and this passing attack came alive.
Yeah, he was a little too small, a little too slight to be the main guy. It's an interesting discussion, much more interesting than what was happening.
It's kind of sad beyond those two top names.
You know what else is sad? The worldwide leader in sports. Here I am on a nice little Monday, just trying to peruse around the interweb, and ESPN's like, "Hey, here you go, Johnny. Here's some post-draft power rankings for you to digest here." I'm like, "Oh, what's this trash?" And I looked at it, and I was like, well, surely the Cardinals either have status quo from last year, they've moved up. I haven't digested too much at ESPN because I try to avoid it during Matt Miller's season. And I kept scrolling in the power rankings, and I'm like, where are the Cardinals? Did I miss them? Sure didn't. The Cardinals, according to ESPN, one of the worst teams in the NFL. One of the worst teams, despite 8-9, second in the NFC, or excuse me, third in the NFC West. Respectable showing in the division, easier schedule. They didn't lose, with all due respect to the Gardex of the world, one meaningful player this offseason. They were the most aggressive team in terms of improving their defense, and they've got young players abound like MHJ and Paris and Trey McBride that should only get better.
Right.
The Cardinals are amongst the bottom 5 in the NFC. Damon, let's take a look at it. Let's put the AFC off to the side for a second. The Cardinals are only better than the Panthers, Saints, and Giants. The Giants, by the way, have the hardest strength of schedule in the NFL. Their season's over before it's even started. Everyone will be fired. The Saints, though, have no good players. The Panthers, Cardinals, and then the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears, who took a blocking tight end, 10th overall, who the Cardinals absolutely undressed last year. It was one of the least competitive games of the season. The Bears are ahead of the Cardinals. The Cardinals are easily the worst team in the NFC West, according to ESPN. Might as well not even play the season, Bo. Just pack it in.
Yeah. Just another lost season here in the desert. I'm reading the little blip. And so they're down 2 spots post free agency.
Oh, really?
So a universally beloved draft, but somehow they slipped 2 spots in the rankings. Now, this is different than NFL.com because I looked at that last week.
Yeah.
And they had them up 2 spots. So they had them from 20 to 18 and actually hurdling NFC West rival Seattle. So NFL.com at least paying a little bit more attention. But this was a little blurb. Cardinals set out to improve their entire defensive front at the start of the offseason, and that's exactly what they did through the additions of Josh Sweat, Dalvin Tomlinson, re-signing LJ Collier, and drafting DT Walter Nolan and edge Jordan Birch. Arizona bolsters its starting lineup and added depth on the front that has become formidable, both size and in talent. And you've got them just falling here to 22nd, where I don't even think, where did they finish last year? It had to have been way higher than this.
They have an easier schedule. They have everybody returning that you would want to return. They have players that are entering. They drafted like 15 guys last year. Right. Some of those players are going to pop this year. Marvin, Darius, Max Melton, Trey Benson, Isaiah Adams, Tip Ryman. They got Taylor Demerson. Are those rookies just not going to do anything? How about the players in 2023?
That's ESPN, and that's the downside of getting, I guess, the information of your local team from a national source. As you saw throughout draft season. Throughout draft season, you had Matt Miller, Mel Kiper saying, Tyler Booker, Matthew Golden. These are the players
Jahad Campbell.
Jahad Campbell. These are all guys that they have, going to this team when they really have no pulse of it. They have no pulse of it. And they're going to start to try to put them in the rankings. And they're going to say, well, we love the Patriots, what they were able to do. So we're going to put them up the board. And we're going to put, the Bears, of course, up the board because we loved what they did with the 2 moves on the offensive linemen on a team that lost 10 straight games. 2 guys in the interior of the offensive line are going to be the difference makers there. But they start to do this, and then they're working inside out, outside in, and like, oh, where do we put the Cardinals? Oh, well, we had them at 20, but there's a slot at 22, so let's just put them there. That's the laziness that you're going to get from kind of the national media here.
Here's what I'm not looking for gratification, right? I don't want to come on here and see the Cardinals. They haven't earned it. I think there's a way to say the Cardinals have gotten better without crowning them. Mm-hmm. And we all know that nothing ever comes from the Cardinals being preseason darlings. It's happened before. They've rarely ever lived up to expectations. So I think the consensus on the tweet that I put out before the show was, I don't even care. It's not even, it bothers me, but it's not going to make a difference, and it won't, right? The Cardinals over under last year was what, 6.5, and they eclipsed it. They got to 8 wins, right? Yeah. So here's my thought process on all this. They are so buttoned up with their head coach that for indefinitely power rankings mean very little. That I do not feel like this team, we can sit here and question what is their ceiling with Kyler Murray, who has never won a division and has one winning season. You can have that conversation. We'll have it, throughout the next couple months. But with Gannon in place and Kyler, this is never going to be, barring something unforeseen, a team that looks like 4-13, 5-12, 6-11.
Yeah.
I think, and I've used this comp before, and I'll bang it till the cows come home. Gannon is very Vrabel-esque, where you know what you're getting, and I think he can F around and win, an NFC West and get you the number 1 seed if the roster's been built up and you get good quarterback play. But I also think that he is going to get this team in a position to consistently compete for playoff berths. And that's all you can ask for right now. We have, before this team can win a Super Bowl, which is the goal, which is Gannon's goal, Kyler Murray's goal, they have to begin stacking postseason bursts. We have to get comfortable with them getting to January, and whether that's with K1 or not, I hope it's with Kyler Murray. They're banking on it with Kyler Murray. I think he can do it. That's where it's what the Seahawks have done, right? The Cardinals need to get there. 9, 10, 11 wins per year. And then you take another step on top of that. I don't think the Cardinals are going backwards, though.
They're not. And I think they're a team that's going to make sure that they trend, even if it's baby steps in the right direction, in an organization hell-bent on getting better on a daily basis. And then once that gets old and that messaging doesn't match, then they'll revamp it. Like that's Jonathan Gannon to what he wants to do. If he doesn't feel like it's going to result in giving the best chance to win, and things maybe get stale or teams get complacent, then you start to retool some things. But it's not the national media as much as you'd want it to be, having the ability of foresight to see down the road and to see those guys from year one, to have the expectation for them to make a jump in year 2. They're just it's too easy for them to say, well, Marvin Harrison Jr., my eyes, fell short of expectations. Thus, he is not the player that I thought he could be. So I'm going to throw him away. So then he doesn't get to the next level in their eyes. And then they look at the positions that they viewed as need, and they didn't see the Cardinals, address that through the draft. And they say, well, they fell short of where their needs were, where Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon know exactly where they really need to utilize their assets. And they did that, what I would say, in this offseason perfectly through free agency and the draft. And it's going to put them in a position to take a team that did fall short of those expectations that they had set forth, but they also know that they were close. And I think with the right tweaking, despite what this rankings tell you, this is not a team that's going to fall down a couple spots in the power rankings. If anything, they're going to trend up pretty significantly.
They have too many good players now.
Yeah.
The NFL is about quarterback play, but if you've got top 16 quarterback play, it's about your roster.
Right.
The Cardinals, here's what we can say about Kyler Murray, definitively. When the roster is high level, he can play high level football. When the roster is below average, which it was 2 years ago when he took over, you're probably a slightly below 500 team. And then last year they played a gauntlet of a schedule, and they're still rebuilding. I think you and I would have put the Cardinals roster somewhere between 20 to 25 last year, right? So if we're looking at it okay, the Cardinals have a top 16 roster in the NFL, and it's trending upward, and Kyler Murray's healthy. A lot of this is just logic.
Yeah.
But but because ESPN can't play the game of things oh, I know Fred Warner, and I know George Kittle, and I know these players, even though they're on the wrong side of 30, I'm going to roll with them. It's well, hang on. The Arizona Cardinals on paper took the best receiver in the draft last year. Let's see what he does in year 2. Have
Yeah.
a franchise left tackle, have the best tight end in the NFL, have a defensive head coach, and you've added 20 defensive linemen this offseason. And it's not hard to see how you can put together a narrative where you should be able to contend. The Cardinals' theme this year is contend for a playoff spot. That's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get you on the other side here as we go into overtime. It's PHNX Cardinals overtime here on a football Monday. But again, like I'm not going to come on the show and say people should be saying the Cardinals should win the division. I like they haven't earned that yet.
Sure. Right. And as you mentioned, the quarterback play is key, but then it's just like NFL throws no caution to win, and they're already anointing, Caleb Williams under Ben Johnson's going to take a massive leap. Like somehow he's going to take this wide gap and he's going to narrow it, and he's going to put them. He's got the Cardinals, or he's got the Bears ahead of the Cardinals. He's got teams like the Falcons with a guy who barely played. He played a cup of coffee last season, and Michael Penix, for the Falcons at 18. He's got the Steelers, who have arguably the worst quarterback room in the history of the league at this point in the offseason, where they've got Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and Skylar Thompson. That's their quarterback room, and they're 17th in these power rankings. I mean, how are they going to win a game in the division with that quarterback room? They've got the Seahawks staying put. They got the Niners staying put. They got the Broncos and the Texans. I mean, it's just, there isn't a whole lot of logic that is applied towards this power ranking. It's just trying to get some of the heavy hitters up where they need to be, and then kind of the meat of it, they just kind of threw it away.
I mean, it is disappointing if you're a Cardinal fan, because you're like, I'm excited about this team. And then people are like, actually, you're not any good at all. It's like, wait a minute. We've gone through, the rebuild hasn't been perfect, but I would say like 80% of it's been a pretty big home run. I mean, you got Marv's on the team. You hit on Paris Johnson. You hit on Garrett Williams. I think you hit on Michael Wilson. Trey McBride has ascended. And then you just had what a lot of people think is like the best case free agency coupled with a draft. I'm like, it's hard to like do a rebuild better outside of making the playoffs last year. Like last year would have been the cherry on top. You're ahead of schedule. You get a playoff spot. You're playing with house money. Okay, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But there's just too much continuity right now. Like Seahawks, again, like 7.5. Vegas is telling you that's not Vegas is telling you that they do not buy Seattle's offensive renovation. They feel like they are going to regress without DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and Geno Smith. Whatever you want to say, like Vegas is typically on the money, and they're saying like at best Seattle's like an 8-win team. So again, but ESPN, it's like, nope, actually Seattle is going to be a juggernaut. It's like, okay, come on now.
But it is deflating if you're a Cardinals fan and you sit there and you see a wildly viewed as a successful offseason where it's like, Josh Sweat, you get an edge rusher. You needed that. They make these moves. They bring back Calais Campbell. They get Dalvin Tomlinson, who became available. And then they hit a home run in the draft. You're like, man, Cardinals at 8-9, like they crushed this offseason. Can't wait till ESPN and tell me where they think they are. Right. And then you're scrolling further down than where you initially were when the season ended. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, to me, you hit the nail on the head perfectly, where it's like what everybody decided to do this offseason with this team during the draft. Yeah. It's going to carry over into the summer, where like people aren't going to know who Garrett Williams are outside of like the people that are tapped in, like our guys at PFF and some of the people that Mina Kimes that we bring on, Baldy. Everybody else is like, I don't know who that is, right? They haven't played in an NFC championship game. They're not on the Niners or the Rams. I'm not into it. Okay, that's fine. Cardinals are going to this has a chance to be the most gratifying season as a Cardinal fan if this team can come out and just start putting people in a grave every Sunday. Because I do think you're going to have more outings this year on prominent stages against like what you did to the Bears and the Jets last year. I think that could be the norm for a lot of these games under JG.
Yeah. Well, the payoff to tease kind of going into this, though, how does this perception versus what the reality is, how does it set up for a week from Wednesday when the NFL releases its 2025 slate and the Arizona Cardinals are sitting there once again with a token Monday night game. You know, like I don't think they're that naive. I got to imagine like they're not going to set themselves up for when they get like Dallas like 6 primetime games after Dak went out. It was just horrible to watch on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
But they continue to step in it and make that mistake year after year. I have to imagine they aren't that oblivious to the Cardinals being on the precipice of being one of the tougher teams and better teams to watch overall.
They'll get a Thursday night game. They didn't get one last year. The NFC West is too high. They'll put the Cardinals on Thursday night.
A real Monday night game. I would love to see that instead of just thrown on the app for a couple hours on a Monday night. And I'm not going to get Orlovsky, but like, are they going to get Joe Buck and Aikman? Will they get the Manning cast? No, it's like,
I don't know.
You have to download this and you have to pay a price, and that's how you can watch them.
If I had to
why didn't people watch this game?
I will holster my expectations. I think they get a true Thursday night game, and then I think they get the bumble ass Monday night game again. I think they get some version of that telecast, doubleheader BS. I don't think they get a true Monday night game, and like Sunday night game is poison anyway. I don't think Mike Tirico is good at his job. I'm not a fan of Mike Tirico, but there's no way they're going to get a Sunday night game. Which is, I mean, it's fine. They
could earn one.
What's that?
They could earn a Sunday night game.
I
think that's probably the most realistic route. But if the Cardinals' schedule sets up like this next week, it's Thursday night game, Monday night game, and international game. I think that's enough to put this team on display to turn some heads next season.
Feed me an international game so your boys at PHNX Cardinals can take a little vacay with anybody who wants to come. Let's chat it up with our friends who put in their super chats, who have been waiting. We got 400 people watching. Hit a like for us.
Hell yeah.
Football Monday. It's our newest diehard, ZT, $4.99. I went to overnight shifts around the same time the Vices started, and I will never forget Mochagate, #Mochagate. Wow.
Our guy ZT Torres, man. That's awesome. Glad to have you a part of the diehards. Getting it going. Love this community. Love being a part of it. And
you guys are the absolute best. It's the best part of our day to be able to interact with all of you. You guys are unbelievable.
Keeping it going with the super chats. How about Paul Chavez? Just a super sticker for now, but if he's got something dropped in the chat, Damon is feverishly looking through to make sure we don't miss anything from it. You can even put it, how about just at the bottom of the chat if we missed it? There he is. What's the status of Will Hernandez injury? Should we expect him to be signed soon?
I would expect. I mean, if he's not signed yet, so I would expect that he's not fully recovered from his injury, is what I would imagine.
He's going to have to pass a physical, and I think once he signs the deal. So probably a telltale sign that Will's still on the road to recovery. Looked great when we caught up with him in February. He said he would love to come back, but, talking to a couple people in the know, I mean, nobody really has heard anything. Nobody's reconnected the Cardinals with Will Hernandez.
If this was Clayton Adams and he was still here, I would say there's a really good chance maybe he comes back and competes. There's no Clayton Adams anymore. Yeah. And that's a killer. This is Justin Fry's unit now. I think Will's going to have a job this year. I think he's going to play for a team. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's October and he's starting for somebody, but that I just feel like that, that ship has probably sailed as of now. Greg, $2. Will Johnson versus Marvin Harrison Jr. Get your popcorn ready, kids. I mean, it's just the Cardinals are collecting their own kind of version of like freak shows where it was like, you're going to be able to come out to training camp, Greg, with the family this year, and you're going to see players that are in a uniform that you can be proud of. They're like, hey, I watched that guy play big-time college football. I use the example on and on. I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face. Like when Bo and I went to training camp in 2023, it was like, this is not an NFL team. I mean, it was on paper, but it wasn't an NFL team. Like this, you're going to go now this year, and it's like, this feels like 2021. This feels like 2015 in the best possible way, because not only do we have some star power, but they're young, right? So, I mean, it's
Calais Campbell out there.
Right. Outside of Calais, but you've got, the people that people are excited about are the rookies from this year, last year, and the year before. That's how it should be.
I mean, you would hope that the defense, because what we've heard the last 2 seasons, like Kyler Murray, that offense does really well for itself.
Yeah.
In practice, that this defense is going to be able to flush out some of those things going into game weeks. And that, they come in and they're one of the better defenses that they're going to face consistently throughout 2025 is their own.
Getting back to Marv versus Will Johnson, what do you think the nastiest thing that they said to one another on the football field when they battled it out in college is? You think that friendship is recoverable here?
I don't know if Marv talks.
No, I don't think he does either. That's why I think Marv's such a sweetheart. Will Johnson's probably like, I can't even be mad at that guy.
Right.
He probably said some things though.
I bet Will Johnson talked a bunch of trash about Kyle McCord and how ass Kyle McCord was to Marv. I'm sure that's what he said. I'm sure. In that, go back and watch that Big Ten title game, which is one of the best games of the last half decade with a spot in the college football playoff on the line. And it was Marv versus Will Johnson. Marv basically tried to will Ohio State to the Natty. And the defense stepped up, but I'm sure Will Johnson was like, your quarterback is ass. We have JJ McCarthy. It's a star-studded game.
Yeah, and it's going to be going on. I mean, like in his Will Johnson's video, along with, how vengeful he looks about the 31 teams that went over him. Like, I think it was one of his relatives that was saying, oh, you're going up against Marv. You're going to get to go up against Marv every day in practice. That's a marquee showdown right there, and it's going to happen every day. It's just like Fitz P2. You get another year of that, but now it's Marv versus Will Johnson.
Let's get to this next question here. I'll pose it to the both of you. This is from our guy Richard, friend of the program, 499. Thank you, Richard. I'm going to ask this question again to you guys. Who wins the championship first? Cardinals, D-backs, Suns. I think we can eliminate the Suns almost instantaneously. Don't tell Matt Ishbia that, but the Suns are not winning a championship anytime soon. So then your question then becomes like Cardinals, D-backs. The Diamondbacks are a really good National League team. I don't know if Damon, I don't know if they have the pitching. Who do you think is closer? Damon, I'll pose it to you. Cardinals or D-backs right now?
Yeah, I just wanted to say Matt Ishbia thinks that 26 teams would trade their situation for the Suns situation. So he severely disagrees with you, Johnny. But I think the D-backs are currently closer to winning a championship, but I think I like the Cardinals' trajectory a lot. I just think it's harder to win as a team in the NFL unless you're clearly like a contender, whereas in baseball, you just got to get in the playoffs. It's a little bit different in that regard.
It is, but like I think, and I kind of agree with you to an extent where the Diamondbacks are in a way better situation roster-wise right now. Like I think their ball club is probably the best pound for pound in the market. But then they've got those nasty Dodgers that they have to deal with.
I don't. It's not feeling good this year. I'll tell you that. Like right now, the vibes are a little bit low just because of the pitching problems and Gallen's inconsistency. I'm not saying that they're close. I think the Cardinals are like a year away from showing if they're a true contender.
Here's what I will say too: is the Cardinals playing the NFC was a very blessed thing, whereas it's like the AFC is the Dodgers, where it's Mahomes and Lamar and Josh Allen. Herbert. I mean, it's just you want any part of the AFC. So,
like, do we think that the Eagles are going to continue to just be this juggernaut? Like, I mean, obviously they trended themselves in the right direction, peaked and dominated last year. They did, like after a down season the previous year. But I think they were one of the healthiest teams last year. If you put them in a situation where they're not at full strength on either side of those trenches, like things can fester very quickly for them. And it's not like, oh, well, you're going to always have to get around Jalen Hurts and the Eagles. No. I just don't get the sense for that.
Well, the tush push could be outlawed by the time the season starts too. So Nick,
by the time Jalen Carter signs his deal, I mean, you got to imagine that a lot of that talent is gone, right?
They do keep on. Howie Roseman is stacking up void years too. Like you're seeing Jalen Hurts is getting paid, I think, $21 million this year, whereas on average he's supposed to be making right around more than Kyler. But they just kicked that can down the road. When those mortgage payments hit, man, they're going to be in a tough spot.
That division will be better. Dallas will get their act together. I mean, they will not be as dominant. They benefited from Giants will be better. They dominated a bad division sans Washington. So Nick 199. Bo, what's the chance the Cardinals target off-ball linebacker CJ Mosley?
I would say pretty close to 0. I just don't see him as a target, even though he does check a lot of the boxes from what you've heard about CJ Mosley. He's a great locker room guy. Production up until last year was great, but over 30, I think it's a position that they wanted to get younger and more athletic at, and I don't see them wanting to kind of create some sort of barrier for these two young guys that they've tabbed this offseason, and Akeem Davis-Gaither and Cody Simon. I think they'd love to see them develop. What's Tim saying here? D-backs bullpen looks like our D-line last year.
That's tough. That's a tough scene. Here's what I'll say about Cody Simon. Cody Simon mentally, I think everybody agrees, I think he can do it. He was calling Ohio State's defense. He's one of the smartest players on that national championship #1 defense. We'll know pretty quickly, can Cody Simon do it physically? If Cody Simon can do it physically, and we can see that in training camp, it's only a matter of time before he starts. I don't think Cody Simon's going to be in a position where the game mentally is too much for him to handle. I'm not discrediting the learning curve, but I think he can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Physically, does he look like a top 100 prospect, or is it just this is going to take a little longer than I thought? If he pops like Taylor Demerson popped in training camp and in the preseason, then it's only a matter of time before he seizes that job. I would not want to be in a position group where I had to compete with him. You don't take a guy like that to be a throwaway, special teamer. I've seen a lot of people outside of this market try to spin that as a special teams pick. They just, again, they don't know how this franchise operates with that position. That's Taylor Demerson, safety, Cody Simon, off-ball linebacker, 4th-round picks. That's not a coincidence. That's where they want to take those players moving forward.
Yeah.
Right? You're not taking your franchise D tackle or your franchise edge rusher there. You're just not. The Cardinals are we can coach them up, and they have the skill set. 18 months from now, Taylor Demerson and Cody Simon are both going to be starting for this team. That's my prediction.
And what? Both 4th-round picks?
Right. That's what they want to do.
Yeah.
That's who they are.
Yeah. Be a beautiful welcome sight to see. They did sign a tight end, probably at the request of Drew Petzing. He's like, hey, I'm feeling a little been off for the last couple weeks.
We didn't draft one. Can you sign one?
They got
who is this guy?
DeGuara. Played 65 games, 5 NFL seasons for the Packers and the Jags. So, special teamer. I mean, he's got an uphill climb to make the roster.
And no one ever says you can never have enough tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Drew. Drew says that a lot. Cardinals fans are we need a veteran wide receiver, and Ossenford and Petzner are more tight ends? Okay. More blocking tight ends to play special teams and be camp bodies? You got it. Let me ask you this. I'm going to put you on the spot right now. Do they sign a veteran receiver before training camp?
I think so. I don't know.
I know who that is.
No. Probably Zay Jones light edition. I would be hard pressed to see an Amari Cooper take a deal.
I'm basically, do they sign anybody with any juice? And you're saying no.
I don't think so. Do you get the sense that they're going to sign somebody with juice?
No, but I feel like that I think that would appease a lot of people that have concerns. We're going into a very it's going to be trepidatious situation with this offense here, where people are going to expect instant results, or they're going to have receipts of you didn't do this, this, and this, and you ran it back with this player. Whereas defensively, there's just too many good options. People are going to be plug and play here, and the defense carried us last year, and you can't there's the pressure on this team resides with one unit, and it's the same unit that we criticized for 3 months last year, and everybody's back, and it's the same unit. It's just going to be a very fascinating case study.
Yeah, it's you copied and paste your C+ work to get us another hopefully it's not a C+. Hopefully it's a little bit better. It's the teacher grading it is a little bit sees the value in some of the things, the points you were making. Vonnie Venerable jumping in late. 199. Who remembers Cardinals legend Chris Streveler?
I try to forget. they're like, you're going to get a guy, and he's like Tebow with a rag arm, but we're also not going to let him run. Remember that game that was essentially a playoff game if the Cardinals beat the Rams? And they're like, Kyler can't go until we'll put him in the fourth quarter. Streveler's going to be the quarterback. His best attribute is running. They wouldn't let him run. I mean, there's one. Cliff had a lot of bad games. That might have been one of Cliff's worst games ever as a head coach.
They were backed up against their own goal line, and they had Streveler just throwing it.
Cliff's trying to run the air raid with
pick six before half or something. Vance Joseph called a great game, and we have many of those.
It was John Walford going for the Rams. Yeah. That was the matchup.
I forgot about that. One of the worst games ever.
And wasn't it played in the it was where USC plays, right? Yeah, it was in the Coliseum.
But the biggest egregious damning game, it's probably one that Kyler thinks about. The week before, okay, COVID year, you beat the Niners at home. The Niners are starting CJ Beathard. The Niners had to live in Arizona to play football. They couldn't live in California with the restrictions with COVID. You beat the Niner corpse, very similar to the corpse of the Niners that we saw last year, and you win and you make the playoffs. That's all you had to do. Yeah. And they lost it, and it wasn't even competitive. Their defense was atrocious. That's the game I look back on, and it's like people who were like hire Vance Joseph, never, ever. That was the game where you got Jeff Wilson put like 200 yards on you that game. We're due, man. No one's been do more than us.
Yeah. We've been sifting through a lot of crap the last couple of years consistently. It's time for the good times to come back. That pendulum needs to swing.
I want some good times. How about this with Richard? This is the $1 million question. That's the theme of this season. $4.99. If the offense does not produce, do they let Kyler go? Or do they fire Drew Petzing?
It's gonna have to be some context around that. That's gonna be. I mean, if it looks just kind of like
if it's the exact same.
Yeah, if it's the exact same. I don't know if the GM moves forward that way.
I think both are gone. I don't think you have to, Richard, guess one or the other. I think they would fire Petzing after the season, and then we would hear all the birds chirping about Kyler Murray's available. Cardinals are keeping their option open. They would trade him. They would sign a veteran, and then they'd make a move for a quarterback like the Giants just
Don't
did.
You think there would be a sense of back against the wall from Kyler Murray to where he would color outside the lines a little bit, play
Who knows?
Make sure he doesn't endure another season like he did, where it's like play calling is really conservative, and like he even told us a month ago, like he's going to run more. He needs to run more.
I think. I hope that we're not sitting here in 6 months and people are like, the offense is the same as last year.
Yeah.
Then I will come on the show every day and say you need to fire Drew Petzing.
Mm-hmm.
But Jonathan Gannon, to his credit, does not want to become Eberflus and fire coordinators left and right.
Right.
And Drew Petzing is well respected. He needs to evolve. It's not good enough. The passing game is not good enough. And the hard part is, and I know Kyler has his detractors, we have seen Kyler Murray have monster passing games and be able to throw a beautiful deep ball. Say what you want about his height or his winning percentage. He is not incapable. He is not limited skill set wise. And then you limit his skill set with what you call offensively, then people are going to have a case, Drew. So Drew would be the first to go because Kyler's got a contract and he's more important and more valuable. Drew would be the first to go.
Right. Yeah. It's way easier to shift around coaches.
Drew Terrell would if they fire in season, Drew Terrell would get promoted in season. Let's not think about that though. I want Drew Petzing to have head coaching interviews next offseason. Mm-hmm. That's the reality. I want Drew Petzing to leave to go get another job. How about that?
Who has more coaching interviews next offseason, Drew Petzing or Nick Rawls?
Great question. Petzing, just because I think offensive guys are going to get favored.
Yeah.
And I think people will look at Rawls and think that it's Gannon, fair or not, if they have a great year defensively.
32 years old.
Yeah.
One of the top, be a top 10 defense.
I think for Nick to get a head coaching job, the Cardinals would have to have damn near the best defense in the NFL.
I think if Nick gets an interview, it's bad news for him sticking around.
Well, yeah.
I think he would interview really well.
These are all first world problems. That's why it didn't seem fair. Like when people talked about last offseason, and it's like, don't take away coaches from a team that had a losing record. Like, don't take away Clayton Adams, right? Don't take away Drew Petzing and Nick Rawls. I know a lot of people wanted Petzing gone anyway, but I take away coaches when you win. Like the Niners lose coordinators when they go to Super Bowls. Robert Saleh and what's his name that's in Houston. Let us have let us have some success first before you start purging. This is going to be the year though. Honestly, the staff is too good. The roster's been fortified. They are going to have a winning record and just let the chips fall where they may.
I'm following the way of our guy Gerald, who covers the Suns. Killer Rex make a good point. If it's the same offense, I will blame Bo for not asking Drew softball questions and losses.
Fair, very fair, very fair.
I'll wear that. Fall on that sword.
I mean, I think everybody's ready for Drew's ready to answer those questions. I mean, Drew knows. These guys consume some stuff. They know what's being asked and what's not. Richard's back 199. I'd rather have Rawls than Petsy, no doubt about it. I mean, Rawls, and this isn't a slight on Drew. People like Drew around the NFL. Rawls is the best young defensive coordinator in the NFL. The Eagles wanted to keep him. Rawls is everybody assumes is going to be a head coach. If not, it's not a question of if, but when. He is like, we spent time with him at the combine. He's one of the most unbelievable coaches they've ever had.
Yeah.
You put him in front of a microphone, it doesn't do him justice. Like fans alike would love him and gravitate to him.
Love our guy, Nick Rawlis. Of course, we love everybody who's tuned in today. Over 400 people watching live on YouTube. Drop a like on this video. A little light in the likes. Not criticizing, but let's get it up. Let's get it up so Johnny can get himself a brand new shirt from the merchandise locker, the PHNX locker. You got the one of the originals right there, one of the OGs, the Rise Up Red Sea tees.
Durable t-shirt.
It doesn't even smell either. It smells good. It's like this t-shirt's 4 years old. It's never fit better.
You got your sweaty head and your Trey McBride hat and your old t-shirt. Come on, show up for the audience today. I'm wearing
I got merch on. I'm merch man.
Me too. I'm wearing a hoodie for the last time in 2025.
I got a What Chaos shirt on.
Yeah. Damon's a company guy too.
Why are you guys like talking to me like I'm gross, like I don't bathe and stuff? Come on now. This shirt's been washed. I've worn it a lot because it's a high quality material. You're like, oh, loser in his old shirt and his old
but you sucking down the smells of that thing like it's old ratty gym tee. It's not exactly
great. It was a man who's done that before.
Yeah. It was not a great ringing endorsement, but look, if that's how you want to do it, stop.
Is this what you want? This is what you want? This is what you want?
Flexing on camera.
Like this show. Gosh darn it.
We are. It's just Monday, and we're having like late week conversations here. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We're going to be back tomorrow with the Tuesday edition of PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.